This is TWiT.
So Rene's fever dream includes, I actually love it, a new, not only a high-quality Apple TV 4K Plus, but a little dongle to compete with Google's Chromecast and Fire TV sticks you call the Apple TV Express. I love this. I hope they do that. That would be great.
They rumored it 2 years ago. The information had a whole article. And the information's got a really good track record. They don't do a lot of Apple rumors, but they've got a really good track record when they do. And the rumor was that Apple was working on this as a way to get the Apple TV services onto more screens, because right now they're
already doing it in TVs, right? So that would indicate to me that it must just be a chip at best that they give the TV.
Yeah, it can run on low. Well, the video service can run on low power on the chips that you get in these TVs, but older TVs aren't getting them, and it's only the TV app. Like if you want all the other stuff, like let's say you do want to play Apple Arcade, there's no facility unless you buy an Apple TV, which is expensive.
I get it.
And for me, like they could put something like the latest watch system in package is not as expensive and super powerful, and you could start doing some interesting things. I thought it was one of the things Google did really, really well in that event was like as poorly as they sold me on 5G, they sold me really well on the value of making any TV, no matter how old your TV, into a brand new Google TV.
Yeah, except Google's pushing this Stadia gaming server, kind of their version of arcade, and it doesn't work.
I want Apple to do that too.
And it doesn't work on the new Chromecast. So it's like the two divisions, they built different gauge tracks, and they went,
try to handshake and...
Just to put a finer point on it, reviewers have sideloaded the Stadia app on it and verified that it does work perfectly. So there's probably a licensing or a business reason why that's not on yet.
That's even more disappointing. Also says it's going to be
early next year, but that does show that, as I said on my Google podcast last week with Flo on, that sometimes you get the feeling that Google is being run about as well as an unlicensed nail salon, and this is another
that's a good
argument.
That's an Andy. Actually, there is a good argument that Apple would love to put more AAA titles into arcade. And to do so, they would really want to get a beefier chip in the Apple TV. Yeah. I would love to see a 12Z or something or a 14. Why not put a 14 into the next Apple TV? Apple certainly could do it, right, Lory?
Definitely, and that's... I can't believe that they haven't actually updated Apple TV in as long as they have, because they're trying to get people on board with Apple Arcade, and they're trying to get people on board with TV Plus, and a brand new Apple TV with the fastest processor you can get, I think that's how you win people over. I got a 4K Apple TV, I think a year ago, and it was because I had been waiting and waiting and waiting for a more updated Apple TV that was more than just Apple TV with 4K. And then I just bought it because I was tired of waiting around. But I would have jumped at a brand new processor, Apple TV. I'd have been very excited by that. And I think they need to do that. They need to update it. And Rene's idea of a dongle-based Apple TV, I think, is brilliant. It would be maybe a little more limiting, maybe less space for stuff, maybe less, like no app store, maybe just the TV app plus Apple Arcade or something like that. You can get it for super cheap. Those would be great for a lot of people. Like I have people in my family who don't have Apple TV, but they do have they recently bought a new phone, so they have TV Plus, and they don't get to take advantage of the use on a television set. So they don't watch any of the TV shows. They don't know anything about them because they don't watch it. They can't watch it on their television set. They would have to watch it on their phone. So a new Apple TV that's really inexpensive would definitely bring more people on board to the servicing that they make available, that they're trying to, generate a lot of money from.
My only question about a much more powerful chip inside the Apple TV is, how much overhead are you going to give a user that they're probably never going to touch? I have Android TV at both ends of the spectrum. I have the new Chromecast dongle, $50. Probably could use a little bit more memory, but it works just fine for streaming pretty much everything I've tested on it, all the third-party apps I've tested on it. I also have a $180 Shield, NVIDIA Shield, which is more of a console, and it's powerful enough to run another media server on it, and it'll run a web browser just fine. The question is, if they decide to put a much faster chip inside the Apple TV, what features are they going to be able to add to it that will make people think, oh, this is why I bought, I spent more money for this version of it instead of the dongle version of it. And I'd really like to know like what people would like to have in terms of a more powerful experience beyond tier 1 games, which I realize is a big thing, but for a lot of people, they'll have an Xbox One for that.
That's the rumor, though, right? It's like
Go ahead, Rene.
I was going to say that's the rumor. It was put up by Choco Bits on Twitter, who's a fairly well-established. I think he works in the Apple secondary supply market, and he said that they were going to do an A14X version because they want to get into higher quality gaming, things like Breath of the Wild. But it raises a couple big questions for me. One is they do need a more powerful chip because you can see the A10X choke when it starts doing compositing on HDR. It's like just at the edge for that. So an A12Z for sure. Whether they need an A14X, one thing is Breath of the Wild is a several generations old Nintendo game, which isn't that graphically. Like they could do that already. They don't really need much more firepower for Nintendo Switch quality games. But also the market is so different. When you put an AMD system on a chip inside an Xbox or a PlayStation, that's supremely expensive. And they eat that cost because they want to keep prices down and they think they're going to make it up on software, which is the inverse of Apple's model. And an A14X in an Apple TV would be really expensive if Apple just charged cost plus 30%. And I don't know if Apple would eat the cost and keep the price down because they don't make it up on software. They use hardware to subsidize the software. It's completely backwards. So my whole question is, would anybody pay? Apple tried this before we got the Everything is Apps Apple TV. They were working on a high-end one, and they just thought nobody would pay that much for an Apple TV. And I don't know what's changed about that equation.
So, Lory, do you want to play Zelda on your Apple TV?
She does.
Yeah, I
think
do.
The Switch is such a success. I know what you want to play is Animal Crossing on your Apple
Of course.
TV.
I'm not going to assume that Apple and Nintendo would come together under one roof, of course.
Yeah.
But no, I do think that Apple Arcade is really producing incredible, beautiful, amazing, deep, interesting games. I want Apple TV to be the platform that everybody wants to use it on. I don't want everybody to say, I already got it on my phone. I don't need to play it on my TV. I want people to think of Apple Arcade as a console for your television set, even though it's, in the cloud and you can use it on anything, just because it deserves that kind of attention. These are mobile games, but they're so impressive and creative and beautiful. They deserve to be played on a large screen. So, yeah, and again, like Rene is saying, like it's not that it needs it. The Apple TV doesn't need the most advanced chip, but that's what's going to make people want to buy it. But I hear what you're saying, Rene. The cost of the A14 chip on an Apple TV, it would increase the price of Apple TV. People don't even want to pay the current price of it. So they're not going to pay more.
Yeah, I mean, Google's device is so cheap, their new Chromecast, that if you buy a month of YouTube TV, you get it for free. Otherwise, you pay $50. It's cheap. So Apple selling a $200 device is already kind of beyond the means of most people. And after all, I guess the real question is, does Apple see Apple TV as a gaming platform, or are they completely content to have the iPhone and the iPad? The iPad is a great gaming experience. You would love Animal Crossing or Zelda on an iPad, right?
Yes.
That would be beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Not that that's ever going
I'd
to
love
happen.
Game Pass on an Apple TV and Stadia on an Apple TV and Amazon Luna on an Apple TV. I just need Apple to get over that. And again, I don't think they're being malicious about it. I just don't think they understand. It's like they have this mental app store, game store model that they just can't see past yet. And when they do, and they're like, oh, okay, we get it. Yeah, we want people to have the best experience possible with those services on Apple products. We'll sell all the hardware. Thank you.
Yeah.
Also, the Apple
away,
TV
kids.
The Apple TV is the closest thing to tofu that Apple makes. This thing that
Okay,
that
wait a
has
minute.
no.
Now, wait a minute.
This is a good one. This is a good one.
Oh, good. Okay.
I say, streaming boxes, they have no identity in and of themselves. They take upon the flavors and the identity of the services that you tie into it. And so if I'm in a Best Buy, really, I'm the most. If I'm an all Apple person, the most vulnerable I could possibly be is to a third-party streaming dongle or streaming box, because it's not really tied into my Apple account all that much, because I'm probably not buying content through the iTunes store anymore. I really want that Apple TV Plus content, but maybe I haven't really gotten into that yet. I'm much more interested in The Mandalorian, which I can get as an app on anything else. So if anything, this is a place where Apple can say that, take the attitude that the purpose of this box is to stream, is to be the most relevant point of access to your computer whatsoever, and that if people are not necessarily doing Apple Arcade, at least Apple still gets the win that when they pick up the remote and wake up their screen, they get a big Apple logo with a landing page of, here is Apple content, here is your Apple Music stream, here are things we're recommending to you, and oh, by the way, here is our voice assistant that has some alerts and some reminders for you. So yeah, Rene is right in that I don't feel as though there's any downside to Apple making sure that this thing could do as much as possible. Even if they wanted to have like a VNC client to say that, yes, you can use this as a second screen for your Mac, you can use this as a second screen for a Windows machine, anything, just please give us $100 and maybe let us distract you into maybe buying an Apple TV Plus subscription sometime.